Gary, I get the impression that you're frustrated because we atheists, skeptics, don't exactly speak with a unified voice. We don't all say in unison, there is no God. We're kind of a bit scattered in our positioning of it. Is that correct? Is that what you...
Yeah, you keep saying until we've got no evidence for God. And until the years, we're going to be atheists. He calls himself atheist. I want to redefine the word atheist. Atheist is there is no God. Now, everyone...
We can do that all day long.
If we let everybody redefine atheism to how they wanted it to be, atheism would be about, I don't know, a billion words, because there would be a definition for atheism for every atheist.
I mean,
and that's why I keep my definition as simple as possible, with as few words as possible. Is that?
And there you've got the back door where theists are going to keep coming at you.
I don't see it as a back door. I see it as a front door to keep the conversation open. If they're willing to play. If they're willing to live in the methods and the ideas that brought our society and our civilization and Homo sapiens sapiens as far as we've gotten, if they're gonna play with that, they have some rules they have to find, and they're gonna have to find some real evidence. And if they can bring that real evidence, then we're gonna have to listen to it. But why? Do I think that they're ever gonna come up with that evidence? What do you think the answer to that is?
I need atheism to be a brick wall that says stop. I need atheism to be an impenetrable brick wall that says stop now. There is no God. I need it to be an unbreakable brick wall what says stop. Do you know what I mean? It's, otherwise, the world's going to pass. We're doomed. The human race,
that's
doomed.
Forecasting, and if you'll bring us evidence to support that supposition, I'll go with it. I mean, that's what skepticism is to me. And it just sounds to me that you want atheism to have a lot of the same attributes that faith has.
You want it to be more dogmatic.
We have to make a dogma.
You've hit the nail on the head. I want atheism.
Okay. Well, the one thing I've said about my personal atheism is that if you're doing it dogmatically, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. I think we gotta leave it open to let the evidence speak for itself, to let science speak for itself, to let religion speak for itself. I've listened to those conversations.
Don't let any religion speak unless what you need to do as an atheist. Well, I told you, I think you're borderline agnostic. I need you to start proselytizing. Have you seen Richard, what's his name, English naturalist bloke, scientist,
okay.
What's his name, Dawkins.
What would you have the tenets of our faith if you want? I mean, it sounds like you want us to be a bit more dogmatic, and we don't have a dogma.
Dawkins, Richard Dawkins, right? He put that thing on side of us saying there's probably no God.
Mm.
Right. Do you know
and that's if you push people, that's what we're going to come up with. And I think this conversation could go on for a while, Gary. And I'm really glad you called. Thank you for calling in. We've had this conversation going back and forth a while. I look forward to talking to you again, sir.
I'll think of some new. I've got some new stuff, and I'll link up another week.
I'd love to hear it. Well, thank you for your call.
You look after yourself.
You too. I have been waiting for that one for a while, and I'm really glad to hear from it, and that was just amazing.
he wants atheism to be more dogmatic.
Yeah.
Atheism as a religion. Well, if atheism is a religion, then bald as a haircut.
There are people who find, I mean, I understand that the drive to want to say something with authority. And I understand that one to say there is no God, period, and then just have people deal with it and move on from the issue. I'm tired of talking to the issue. I've made my decision. Can we move on? But saying something with authority is the doorway through which dogma appears. Exactly. And dogma really bothers me way more than... It's not the fact that these people are believers. It's not the fact that these people are religious. I have most of my friends are religious, and I love them, and they're great people, and they're moral people. And they believe that I'm a moral person too. But their dogma says otherwise. Yeah. And it's when we escape from that dogma that I think we grow. And because atheism is such a simplistic doctrine, I think we, more than anyone else, can avoid that dogma.
I think so. It's important to also remember that you've got a lot of great, leading atheist spokespersons out there, from Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, Dennett, and Harris and others. Yeah.
Have you seen Hitchens lately?
Yeah.
I'm amazed. I am just completely amazed and happy to have him keep talking through
It's great.
this, saying what he's saying. And he's like, if you hear me recanting on my deathbed, do not believe it. It's probably the drugs or somebody lying.
Right. And I want to also, and just to address a point, Gary, that you were making earlier about us, not speaking with one voice. Even Sam Harris has come out and said, we should stop calling ourselves atheists. We shouldn't give ourselves a label. We should essentially just, say who we are, which is we're, ethical, honest, upright, moral people. But you don't hear Hitchens and Dawkins and Dennett and Harris going at, what's the best, what's my label, what's your label. I don't think that's important. I think it's important to let people give themselves their own name and show by their own example, by how they live their life, where they get their moral compass. I think that's probably one of our biggest challenges, is showing that, we're not devoid of morality just because we don't have a religion.
Yeah, that's the big one for me, is when we go to and Gary, please respond to this. You're gone, so we're going to talk about you. Please respond to this, and you will get your say. And is that when I go to when I do these booths for Seattle Atheists, and people occasionally come up to us and say, oh, blah, 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 atheist, blah, blah, blah. And they want to fight about atheism. And then sometimes I pull them aside. And this works surprisingly well, as I say, look, let's put the ideology aside for a second. Because we're not talking about science. We're talking about morality. And I say, do you believe that atheists are capable of making moral decisions, are working from a morality, even though they don't have that religious background? Most of the time, and that might be just because we're in Seattle, they say yeah.
Could be.
And once they say yeah, I go, well, then this debate is happy fun time for us. We're just trying to reach an understanding. I don't actually have any significant issue with you at all. And I know that sometimes separates me from a lot of atheists, but really, I just want people to understand that we exist and we're good people and we make moral decisions just like everyone else.
And it's also, I want to reiterate that for centuries and centuries, religion has had that free ride of respect, that default, if you're a person of faith, just put the title Reverend in front of somebody's name, they're automatically entitled to some kind of respect. And a lot of what is...
Didn't work for me.
Yeah, and a lot of what's driving atheism and the atheist movement is the fact that, no, just because you claim to believe in something that cannot be proven, just because you have faith in some kind of dogma, does not entitle you automatically to any kind of respect, especially if you can't provide evidence for what you believe in.
Yeah.
It's,
One final thing, and I think we should probably get back to the topic at hand, is I said this on the website, and there's a post on the website that I encourage everyone to check out. It's about the Star Trek episode. It's called The Wrath of RTK, and then Khan, because I was making a Star Trek joke, ha ha ha. And I'm thinking that we might have to redo some of the preamble, because to me, this show isn't really so much about atheism as, when you get right down and dirty, it's about atheists. Is that the Ask an Atheist tries not to have an Ask an Atheist voice, an Ask an Atheist editorial opinion. We let the people who are sitting at this table have the editorial opinion about what they want to talk about. And I feel that going to a dogmatic approach of atheism would destroy that idea somewhat. Is that as we are atheists in the media, we have to toe some sort of dogmatic line. And like I said, we should probably get back to our topic. But if you would like to call in, even if you are in the States, definitely, if you're anywhere, the moon, an alternate dimension. Actually, you're coming from an alternate dimension, I'd like to know, and evidence would be great. 206-421-5658. And we were talking about intelligent design at some point.
Yes. Well, among some of the points I wanted to make too about intelligent design and how it differs from the scientific method is that unlike scientific inquiry, intelligent design attempts to do an end run around the peer review process. Now, this is something that they moan and bitch about when they hear us complaining about it, but the fact is that they don't do a peer review process. Yes, if you go to the Discovery Institute's webpage, you can see a whole plethora of their articles and their own way of reviewing and their own way of presenting what they consider evidence. The problem is that the evidence that they claim to have and the kind of research that they do does not stand up to the larger peer review process, and that's what science is about. It's you come up with a theory, a proposal, and then the rest of the scientific community tears it apart. And it doesn't take 100 scientists to destroy your theory if you're wrong. It only takes one.
And they call their stuff peer-reviewed because it's but the thing is that they do kind of reconstruct what peer means. Peer review, as far as I understand, I'm not actually a scientist myself, is peer review by fellow scientists. And that's not what's happening here. Is they've got their own little crowd. The Discovery Institute does, and I feel a little weird because we make a big deal about how nice and open that Seattle is, but we're still in the United States. The Discovery Institute is right here. There's Mars Hill here, and it is in fact everywhere.
Yep.
But But like I said, they've just reconstrued what peer means, and it's not necessarily a peer of fellow scientists.
That's right.
But that's why they can go on legally, it's a group of peers. So they can go to these court cases and say, peer-reviewed, yeah.
That's right. Also, the purposeful arrangement of parts, which is one of their arguments, is not a scientific argument. We recognize watches, keyboards, and computers because we are their creator. And then the whole idea of irreducible complexity, that's a negative argument. Essentially what they're trying to say is, well, evolution and the fossil record and even DNA doesn't explain exactly how everything got there.
Banana dances in for failed arguments about intelligent design.
Absolutely, it needs to have the letters R-A-Y on there. But their idea is, well, evolution is faulty, therefore we win by default. It's a negative argument, and it just doesn't stand up, and that's why they're just not going to be taken seriously.
Right. And
let's see. Did you want to move on to some of the quotes?
Sure.
Okay.
We can definitely do that.
Before we do that, I also wanted to. One of my favorite things is, Einstein has got to be one of the most misquoted guys
Here we go.
in history. Everyone knows that famous quote of God doesn't play dice with the universe. And that means that Einstein believed in God. Well, no, he didn't. He did not believe in a God. And so I want to set the record straight, and I'm going to quote him directly here. I do not believe in a personal God, and I have never denied this, but have expressed it clearly. If something is in me which can be called religion, then it is the unbounded admiration for the structure of the world so far as our science can reveal it. He didn't believe in an ethereal or hairy muffin cloud kind of God. He believed that God was the universe itself, and that our ability to discover the laws of physics, discover nature, was our way of knowing the mind of God.
So how is that distinct from a pantheist, where because the idea of pantheism is either that everything is God or God is in everyone?
I don't think the distinction is that important. It's just that he didn't want any one thing to be embodied as God. It was the universe itself. In fact, he actually says several times about the mysticism of science, the mystery of the universe. That to him was the very essence of God, learning to discover the universe. He gave us the general and special theories of relativity. These were his way of understanding what the universe is. It was about discovering the laws. It wasn't about some disembodied spirit.
So it sounds like God was a problem to be solved in a way.
Well, I suppose you could look at it that way. His view of it is that science and the universe and God are all kind of a mystery.
Okay. You did also had a clip for that. Did you want to show the clip, or?
Yeah, let's see.
Which one was that?
Clip number 1.
Okay.
Let's go to clip number 1 if we can.
Can we cue up that one? At some point.
But
I know Einstein is a bit of a personal. That's a conversation we've had a lot.
It is. One of the other ones, clip number 2, if you have that, starts out that a man can take pleasure in marching to the strains of a marching band. Einstein absolutely hated that. He said that all this person needs, if they love marching to military music, all they needed was a spine. They didn't need, the fact that he had a brain was a mistake. All he needed was a spinal cord.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Are we ready for that? All right, here it is.